How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Thinking Blue with Blake Harris. You're probably a little bit surprised getting this notification in your subscriptions box today, but no, we are officially back. I made a YouTube channel last year. I was posting Dodgers videos for about a month entering the season. Got a couple copyright strikes from a bunch of spring training clips. That kind of really slowed down the channel. I couldn't really post anything, couldn't monetize my channel. It sat vacant for a year. But we're officially back. The copyright strikes are gone. I can finally start posting content again, so I hope you like Dodgers stuff because we have a lot of Dodgers content coming your way all season long. Before we get to the latest Dodgers news, make sure to drop a like on this video and help share this video and my channel with other Dodgers fans. And if you're watching this video and you're somehow new, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications because it's going to be a busy season here on my YouTube channel. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to the latest Dodgers news. Now, we got some interesting news earlier today as Dave Roberts announced that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is likely going to be opening up the season for the Dodgers in Tokyo. Now, I guess this shouldn't come as a major surprise. I mean, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's one of the Dodgers aces. He's probably going to be really damn good this season. And oh, by the way, they're opening up the season in Tokyo. I think it makes a lot of sense to have Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for that game as opposed to, Tyler Glasnow or Blake Snell. Now, the other piece of news that was actually really fascinating was in regards to who potentially could be starting the second game of that series. And according to Dave Roberts, there's a realistic chance that it could be Roki Sasaki. Now, again, nothing is official with this. This is just what Dave Roberts was saying as of, February 12th. Now, this would actually make a lot of sense as well. The Dodgers are playing 2 games over there. There's going to be a couple of exhibition games, but there's going to be 2 regular season games where all eyes are going to be on the Dodgers and the Cubs. And I see why it makes sense to start Yamamoto game 1 and to start Roki Sasaki in game 2. I mean, at the end of the day, the Dodgers are likely going to win the division. I don't think it's going to be a close race at all, so I don't really have any issue with Roki Sasaki potentially getting the start in game 2. With these 2 games, you want to please all the fans that are there in Tokyo and all the fans that are going to be watching in Japan. And I think a lot of these fans would prefer to see Roki Sasaki, again, as opposed to Tyler Glasnow or Blake Snell. Now, obviously, you can't pencil in Roki Sasaki as of right now. He hasn't even appeared in a Cactus League game yet. We don't know how he's going to fare when spring training rolls around. Now, if Roki Sasaki really struggles and he has a really bad spring, I don't think he'll be pitching in game 2 of that series. But if Roki Sasaki comes out, he looks the part, he looks really good, he really impresses this spring, I have no issue with him being the game 2 starter. Because then when the Dodgers come back to the States the following week, you can have Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, have those 2 guys kicking off your rotation when you face the Tigers. So we'll see how all this plays out over the next month or so. Yamamoto's going to go game 1, and I do think we see Roki Sasaki go in game 2, which if you're asking me, I think that's going to be freaking awesome. The next piece of news isn't as awesome because we got some injury updates with some of the Dodgers' best relievers. This morning while speaking to reporters, Dave Roberts said that both Michael Kopech and Evan Phillips are behind schedule in their ramp-up. He's not sure yet if they're going to start the season on the IL. Yeah, you never want to get any sort of injury news, but it's not ideal when 2 of your best relievers are projected to start the season on the injured list before games in spring have even begun. We'll start with the Michael Kopech news because this doesn't really come as a major surprise. If you guys remember, about a couple of weeks ago, Bob Nightingale tweeted out saying something along the lines of Michael Kopech might begin the season on the injured list, hence why the Dodgers went out and they signed Kirby Yates. Well, shortly after that, Dodgers general manager Brandon Gomes, he kind of debunked that, saying he's not sure where that information came from, and that Michael Kopech is just like any other reliever at this point in regards to building their arm up. Well, Dave Roberts spoke to the media, and it does sound like Michael Kopech does have an issue after all. Meanwhile, this Evan Phillips news, yeah, this one kind of really came out of nowhere yesterday. Now, if you guys remember, Evan Phillips was left off the World Series roster all the way back in October, so that was months and months ago, and it's still not looking good for Evan Phillips. He didn't pick up a baseball until January 1st and has only progressed to throwing long toss as camp opens this week, putting him behind schedule to be ready for the start of the season and making him a very long shot to be ready for the games in Tokyo on March 18th and 19th. Yeah, for me, the Evan Phillips one is just a little bit more concerning. You never want to hear anything about the rotator cuff. At least with Michael Kopech, it sounds like a little bit of inflammation. That's not ideal either. But yeah, hearing rotator cuff concerns with Evan Phillips, that has me just a little bit worried. And again, the fact that it's only February 12th, we haven't even seen any game action yet, and the fact that Michael Kopech and Evan Phillips are already probably going to start the season on the injured list when that's still 5-6 weeks away, yeah, that's not ideal at all. Now, this makes sense as to why the Dodgers were so aggressive when it came to signing Tanner Scott and when it came to signing Kirby Yates. They knew potentially that they'd be dealing with some injuries in the bullpen, but yeah, having two of your top arms already at this point, probably beginning the season on the injured list, that's not a great start to spring. So if those two start the season on the injured list just like that, those are two spots in the bullpen that magically are going to be open, and the competition for those final bullpen spots is going to be that much more competitive this spring. I'm sure at some point in the coming weeks, I'll be posting a video talking about players that are potentially in the running for those final bullpen spots, but we're not going to dive too far into that right now because, again, we haven't seen any game action yet. There's a lot of players that can emerge for those spots, and there's also a lot of players that can get hurt between now and the next month or so. Before we get to the rest of today's video, you can help support me and my channel by becoming a subscriber over on my Substack page. For $5 a month, you'll have access to all of my articles. Plus, you'll get some pretty cool perks and benefits as well. One of the favorite perks among my subscribers is access to a Dodgers Twitter group chat that is filled with me and lots of other passionate Dodgers fans. Talk about the latest news and games with me and a lot of other fans who share the same passion for the Dodgers as you do. Everything I do is independent, so if you'd like to help me continue to post on X, YouTube, and Substack, you can become a subscriber for as little as $5 a month. Alright, the next set of news we have, this is probably the most happy I've been about a signing this offseason. It was expected, but it's still great to see happen. Clayton Kershaw is going to be returning to the Dodgers for his 18th season. Now, I tweeted about this yesterday saying, if you want to feel old, listen to how many years Clayton Kershaw has been with the Dodgers, because I feel old now. But yeah, like I said, this doesn't come as a major surprise. This has been expected all offseason. Even Clayton Kershaw, during the offseason, the World Series celebration, he kept talking about how he expects to be back. But of course, because of his offseason surgery, we're going to have to see how things play out there. Now, this marks the second consecutive offseason in which Clayton Kershaw underwent surgery. This offseason, he underwent left toe and left knee surgeries. If you recall, he missed the final month of the regular season and the postseason with left big toe inflammation caused from a bone spur. Here's what he said to reporters last November. I have to get my foot fixed and I have to get my left knee fixed too. It's going to be a 2-for-1 special. I'm going to knock them out at the same time. I don't know the exact timelines. I don't know that. I think you have to go in and get it fixed and then kind of understand the timeline after that. Now, as of right now, we don't exactly have a timeline as to when Clayton Kershaw can return. The latest update we got, I think it came at the end of January or so. It came from Brandon Gomes, and he said Kershaw, while he is throwing, he hasn't thrown off a mound yet, so I'm not sure if at this point, again, middle of February, if Kershaw's throwing off a mound just yet, but if he's not, you would have to imagine it's going to be quite some time for him to build his arm back up and be fully ready. Now, me personally, all offseason, I've expected Clayton Kershaw to begin this season on the 60-day injured list. Because the Dodgers season does officially begin earlier than other teams, he would be able to return by the middle of May, and at that point, I think he should be good to go. Because if you're the Dodgers, if you can save an extra roster spot while Clayton Kershaw rehabs, it also gives him a lot more time. I do think that would be the smart route to go, but who knows, maybe a week or two from right now, Clayton Kershaw is all of a sudden facing hitters, and he actually might be ready by the time April rolls around. As of right now, we don't know any of that, but that's where I currently stand on Clayton Kershaw. I think he's probably going to miss a couple of months, but I won't be too upset if April was around and he's in the rotation starting games for the Dodgers. Now, if you look at the numbers last season for Clayton Kershaw, obviously they don't look good, but we have to remember his last couple of starts really impacted his numbers. Prior to him getting hurt, Clayton Kershaw actually looked pretty solid. He only made 7 starts last season, which was by far the fewest in his career if you exclude the 2020 season. His first start came on July 25th, but his final start was a month later on August 30th when his foot injury was just too difficult to pitch through. Over the first 5 starts of 2024, Kershaw actually posted a 2.63 ERA and a 3.00 FIP. Both of those are really solid numbers, especially coming from a starter who's in year 17. But in his next start, Kershaw allowed 5 runs on 9 hits in only 5 innings, and then in his next start, he allowed 3 runs on 3 hits in only 1 inning of work. He left the game after that, and that was the last we saw from Clayton Kershaw in 2024. So yeah, those first 5 starts, Kershaw was looking really good, but then in those final 2 starts, clearly there was something wrong with his foot. He didn't have it, and that's why his numbers look as bad as they did. I know a lot of people like to hate on Clayton Kershaw, that he's old, that he's washed, but when Clayton Kershaw pitches, as we've seen the last couple of years, when he's healthy, he still is a really good starting pitcher. Now, he's not the Cy Young caliber pitcher he was years ago, and he's probably not a number 1 or a number 2, but considering Clayton Kershaw is probably going to be the Dodgers' number 5 or number 6 starter, and if he can go out there and post an ERA just around 3, yeah, I think the Dodgers are gladly really going to take that. All right, the final piece of news that we have to talk about is Kiké Hernandez officially being back with the Dodgers. Just like with Kershaw, Kiké was expected to return to the Dodgers at some point this offseason. I tweeted about this a couple times, saying if Kiké comes back, it's probably not going to be until spring training kicks off when you can start transferring players to the 60-day IL, because once you can do that, it opens up roster spots to sign new players, hence why Kiké came in when he did. It's a one-year deal for $6.5 million, and I think that's honestly perfect for Kiké Hernandez. Now, obviously, he's not going to be a player that's going to be competing for an all-star game, but you don't need him to be. All the Dodgers need from Kiké is for him to play all over the field, for him to play every infield spot, for him to play every outfield spot, and for him to be healthy once October rolls around. Because as you guys know, Kiké Hernandez, once you flip the calendar to October, becomes one of the best hitters in all of baseball. This past October for the Dodgers, Kiké appeared in 14 games and was one of the best hitters on the team. He hit .294 with an .808 OPS. His 129 WRC plus was the third highest on the team, ahead of guys like Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Teoscar Hernandez. So we all know that Kiké Hernandez shows up in October, but if you look at his numbers from last season, there was a pretty big difference between his first half and his second half, and it looks like that's largely due to Kiké pretty much just starting to wear goggles. If you guys remember, in the middle of the season, Kiké said he went to the doctor, he told he had bad eyesight or something, he started wearing goggles, and from that point on, Kiké was a completely different hitter. Through the middle of July, he was one of the worst hitters in all of baseball. Over his first 71 games, Kiké was hitting .191 with a 59 WRC plus. However, over his final 55 games, once Kiké started wearing the goggles, he hit .274 with an OPS of 766. His WRC plus nearly doubled as it went from 59 to 112. Again, we don't need Kiké to be posting all-star caliber numbers at the plate next season, but if he can be a 110 WRC plus kind of hitter, having that guy as your number 8, as your number 9 hitter, being able to put him all over the field, for $6.5 million, that's going to be insanely valuable. Now, with Kiké Hernandez coming back, it does make things a little bit interesting for the 13 position players entering opening day. It looks like it's going to be a battle between a couple of guys, but I'm not going to get too much into that right now. I'm going to save that for a future video as well. The Dodgers already had an A+ offseason, and in the last few days, we had Clayton Kershaw come back and Kiké Hernandez. Yeah, I gave the Dodger offseason an A++ a couple of weeks ago, but after the last few days, we're going to be giving it an A+++. Alright, that wraps it up for today's video. What are your thoughts on the Dodgers bringing back Kiké and Clayton Kershaw? Also, what are your thoughts on Michael Kopech and Evan Phillips potentially starting the season on the injured list? Finally, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on whether or not Roki Sasaki should be starting Game 2 of this season in Tokyo. I want to hear from all you Dodgers fans. I'm going to be interacting with you guys in the comment section below, so I'm looking forward to that. If you guys haven't done so yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm going to be posting Dodgers videos all spring long and all season long, so if you're a Dodgers fan, this is definitely the place for you. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that really confusing YouTube algorithm that myself and nobody seems to understand, but what I do know is it does help share this video and my channel with more Dodgers fans, and it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in my next video.